It is raining, I am overheating, and I don't know where my cat is. Hey besties, and welcome back to Sustainability Sunday, a series where I show you the little changes that you can make that don't greatly affect your day-to-day life and make your life significantly more sustainable. Most of the time, at least. This week we're doing something different. I would be amiss not to acknowledge it. And it's that sustainability has an ableism problem. I know. How can a movement be ableist? It is ableist. I've done a previous video about how sustainability is a privilege, but in that I feel like I focused more on the financial aspect. I didn't get deep into how ableist sustainability is. First, I guess we could define ableism. Ableism is discriminating against somebody because of their disability. They do not have the same ableism. Make sense? I would say the vast majority of sustainable changes don't mesh well for those with disabilities. I'll start with the one that I actually hear brought up a lot, and that's getting pre-chopped veggies and fruit. Yes, it's cheaper and it's more sustainable to buy it fresh. Otherwise, you're just paying for the convenience of having it pre-chopped for you, but it's in a bunch of plastic packaging. Do you know that there's a lot of people out there that don't have fine motor skills to chop their own vegetables? I sometimes struggle with my fine motor skills. I'm not sure why, but it's been a thing. Sometimes, for someone who does sometimes struggle with fine motor skills, almost every time I try to cut something, I end up cutting my finger. It makes it so much easier. That's me. That is an able-bodied person that cuts themselves while chopping veggies. Imagine if I had no fine motor skills. That's why these things exist. And yet, every day I see people say, don't buy the pre-cut vegetables and fruit, it's just a waste. It's the exact opposite, you're killing the planet. No, you're doing what you need to do. That also goes into meal prepping and making things from scratch. People with certain disabilities can't necessarily do that. If you combine POTS and ADHD meds, you have someone that overheats super easily now. It's horrible. I used to always be cold. I miss always being cold. But having the stamina, the energy, the time, the motor skills to meal prep, to do elaborate meals, to make things from scratch, not everybody has that. And don't get me started in buying things in bulk, because I will acknowledge that a lot of the time, people can't carry the large containers. Don't get me wrong, I love a good Costco run, but I can't carry half that stuff up on my own. Thank God for my fiance. And again, I'm an able-bodied person. If I was disabled, I can't even imagine. Then things like hand washing laundry could not be me. Yes, I have said previously, we will hand wash clothes, but most of the time it's my fiance that'll do the hand washing. Because a lot of the time for me, my POTS flare-ups can come out of nowhere. So a lot of the time just standing there isn't the best option for me. I can't even imagine somebody in worse shape than me. Line drying clothes, which everybody suggests doing. I cannot hold my arms above my head for long periods of time because that elevates my heart rate too much with my POTS. Some people don't have the actual dexterity and mobility to lift their hands above their heads. I can't bend without my heart rate skyrocketing. I can't imagine somebody in worse shape than me trying to do that. This is a very controversial take. I think that having little robots all around your house may not be sustainable, and in fact may be something they highly advise against when it comes to sustainability, but is a life hack for people with disabilities. I have the little Amazon robots all around that I don't say their actual name because I never want to trigger them at the wrong point. I have them all around. It's so easy to just tell them to set a timer or to remind me of something at a certain time before my brain fog rolls in. I can add things to my grocery list, again, because my brain fog can get so bad. But while doing a registry for my wedding, it was suggested that I put a Roomba on there. Here I am saying, no, absolutely not. I don't need a Roomba. Like, I don't need one. It's just going to, use up electricity. It's just gonna be a waste. I don't need a Roomba. And then I realized I'm able to take the vacuum out and vacuum. But not everybody has that ability. Not everybody can push a vacuum. And that's where the Roomba comes in, especially for people with mobility and strength issues. The Roomba that people think is just superfluous and just unnecessary and just excessive, that's a very necessary part of their home. It's a very simple way to keep their home clean when they may not be able to vacuum themselves. You'll know how I feel about thrift shopping. It's my favorite. I love thrift shopping, but thrift shopping has some accessibility issues. At least at all the thrift stores around me, those aisles are far too narrow for any type of wheelchair or mobility assistant device to fit down. It's always crowded. People are just pushing other people out of the way constantly. It's rough out there for a thrifter. That's not even to mention getting there. Keep that part in mind. And then again, at least around me, all the thrift stores around here are self-scan. You have to ring yourself out. For people with certain issues, if you can't lift your arms too much, you can't scan things yourself. It's not accessible. Plus, I don't know, during COVID, all the thrift stores around me got rid of their fitting rooms and now they haven't brought them back, and I don't know how I feel about that. I know I always say avoid fast fashion, avoid doing too much online shopping. Shop small is one of my mottos. I love shopping small and shopping local. It's also way more sustainable, but that's not accessible. And this time I'm not just talking about the cost, but the cost is also part of it. What if you don't drive? What if you can't get around the stores because you have some type of mobility aid that the aisles are not large enough for? What if you have agoraphobia? I have some relatives with agoraphobia. What if you have agoraphobia? What about if you can't carry groceries? I personally don't order Instacart or grocery deliveries, but I grew up in a home where we did because my mom didn't drive. So we always got our groceries delivered. I grew up with that being the norm. Since then, I have gone grocery shopping a lot, and it's kind of my happy place, is to be walking the aisles in the grocery store. But what about the people that can't drive? What about the people that can't spend all day walking around the grocery store, or at least an hour? Because it's gonna be at least an hour. People joke that things like Instacart charge so much because it's the lazy tax. What if it's not because you're lazy? The same thing goes for Uber Eats and DoorDash. The amount of times that I see people say, oh, you're just 2 blocks away, why don't you just go pick it up? Some people can't. Here we are saying, don't do these food delivery apps, make things at home, don't do all of this delivery. What about the people that genuinely can't? I feel like a lot of the time, the general public forgets who these things are designed for. Take plastic straws, for example. Everyone now is like, yeah, let's get rid of plastic straws, save the sea turtles. Okay, I'm also on board with that, kind of. I don't do plastic straws in my day-to-day life. I have glass straws. I have the plastic straws that come in my Starbucks tumblers, but I don't do normal disposable plastic straws. However, I am very well aware that some people need it, literally need flexible plastic straws so that they can actually drink out of their drinks because of how much they can move their neck. Again, I understand in theory, plastic straws are horrible for the environment. Trust me, again, I don't use them in my personal life, but they're not for people like me. They're for people that need them. There's also things I've already said I opt out of myself. Things like gardening. I don't garden. I don't have the space for it. But gardening involves a lot of bending. DIY projects are another great example. The amount of times that I see people online flipping furniture and just say, I wish I could do that. I can't lift furniture. A lot of people can't lift furniture. But the amount of work that actually goes into it, even things as simple as patching up a hole in your clothes, just taking a sewing needle and thread, requires a certain amount of dexterity that a lot of people don't have. One of the first things I mentioned about sustainability in my first ever sustainability video, public transit. Public transit is not designed to be accommodating to people with disabilities. It's just not. As I've said before, I live in Salem where it's Halloween all year long, and we have the bus, and we have a train that brings you directly into Boston. And that is not easy to get through if you have mobility devices. When you're in Boston, you take the T, which is the subway. It really depends on what line to figure out how easily you can get around. Because not every line has stops for you to get on and off with mobility devices. Some of them you have to do stairs. I'm looking at you, Green Line. But more importantly, public transit is so crowded that if you have a mobility device, you might not even be able to fit, which is horrible. And last, and this sort of encapsulates everything that I've said so far in this video, but the sustainability movement and the sustainability community sort of seems to just shame convenience items, convenience purchases. They don't think that people with disabilities might need these in order to operate normally. As much as I hate to say normally. You know, you could say, don't use air conditioning, like use fans instead. I know that I've said it before, But now with my POTS and my medication, I overheat so easily, I need air conditioning, which is horrible for me. But it's an actual necessity for my medical conditions. Again, the pre-chopped fruit and veggies. People buying the pre-done protein drinks, I've heard people shame them, being like, oh, just buy the powder. Maybe it's just easier for them to drink it if it's already made. And no, protein shakes aren't just for gym bros. They help all of us hit our protein goal, which is very important. I spent a long time being one of those people that didn't think about some disabled people might need this and that's why it exists. Or this is accommodations for this and this is why it exists. I didn't think about that. I thought certain things were just wasteful and not sustainable. And now I understand why. Accommodations changed my life. I can say that with 100% certainty. Making accommodations completely changed my life. Completely turned my entire life around. Mine are not necessarily non-sustainable ones, but in other facets of my life. I've had a lot of accommodations made. A lot of it involves my kitchen, if I'm being honest. Now that I have learned the real difference that accommodations can make, I'm never, ever going to make anyone feel bad about not being sustainable enough. Ever. Remember, at the end of the day, it's all about the little changes that you can make that don't affect your quality of life. That's what sustainability is all about. If you still have to get pre-cut fruit and veggies, by all means, go for it. Is it the most sustainable option? No. But if it's the option that works best for you, so be it. Nobody's going to judge you. And if they do, you can tell them to screw off. Also, fun fact, if you didn't know, prescription pill bottles cannot be recycled. Didn't know if you knew that, but they're type 5 plastic, so they can't just go in your normal recycling. Do you know that? Because I recently found that out. All right, friends, well, on the note of me constantly overheating, I am overheating right now. So I'm gonna get lost. Comment down below what non-sustainable habit you never realized might go with a disability, and now you feel bad for being angry at them over it. For me, honestly, I think it's single-use K-cups. You can get a refillable K-cup, yes, but Keurig versus full coffee maker. With the Keurig, all you really need to lift is a mug, versus with a full coffee maker, you need to lift the entire thing to pour yourself coffee. Some people just don't have that strength. Or powdered electrolytes, because now I drink a lot of those. They're one of the only things that can keep my heart rate stable. It's keeping myself hydrated with powdered electrolytes. I always thought they were a waste. Now they're an actual staple necessity item. Sorry this video isn't as much fun and doesn't have as much personality as normal. My heart rate's actually not doing great right now, and I feel like I'm gonna pass out, but I tried, and that's what matters. It's actually what inspired this video today, is I have not been having a good few days. Make sure to subscribe if you are not already. I put out new videos every Wednesday, Sunday, and then alternating Mondays and Fridays. When you do subscribe, make sure to hit the bell, otherwise YouTube will never tell you when I post. It's a little bit broken like that. Every Sunday is Sustainability Sunday, so if that's all you care about, I'll see you next Sunday. I love you all, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.
I don't know, but I've been told the world outside is oh so cold. So cold.